Many of you know, because I am open about this, that I am addicted to staying young and I am addicted to skincare. And this is probably a problem I should check myself into a hospital for, but it's just true. And I have tried a boatload of different skincare companies, different products, listened to different promises, and many of some work, some don't. And it really is about what is in that product and what it can do for your skin. So I wanted to bring on an expert today to really dive into our skin, what it needs, what we should be doing. How do we actually combat aging and, keep away those wrinkles, keep a nice little youthful face for a little bit longer? What can we do for our skin? So, Miss Carolina, thank you so much for coming on. I am so excited for this conversation because it's for me as much as it is for my audience too. I love learning about this.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Amy. I'm as excited as well. There's so much to talk about, and yeah, can't wait for us to dive in.
So much, so much. So you're a PhD, you're a CEO, co-founder of OneSkin. You advocate for healthy aging. But what brought you into what sparked your interest in this field and what led you to actually create OneSkin based on your experience?
Yeah, I think it's a great starting point. As a scientist, I never thought of myself like creating a skincare brand. So it's interesting how the choices that you make in life, uh, le- led you to a different kind of place that you don't expect. But looking back, everything connects now. But I was always fascinated about science. I want to be a scientist. I want to work in research so I could discover something that could help people live better. So initially, I thought that I would be working to find a cure for a certain disease. So, we're always trying to help people live better by treating diseases until you realize that the cause of most of the disease that we want to treat is actually aging. So, can we intervene in aging first? And instead of treating disease when people are already like suffering or like is in the late stage of life, can we extend this healthy period of life? So to me, that was like an aha moment when, wow, we are spending our whole life, studying, which is very, very important. Don't get me wrong, but like cancer and Alzheimer's. But if we can understand aging, how aging is connected with all of those diseases? So just to go back a little bit, I got my PhD in stem cell biology and tissue engineering. And that's an area that I'm also very fascinated about. I can talk about stem cells, therapy, PRP, and all the different treatments that I'm super excited and I think has like amazing applications to help us to live healthier longer. But out of my PhD, I got together with like three other colleagues, women, and we want to translate our research from academia. And initially, it's hard like to find a business out of the research. But one way that we started this was basically growing tissues in the lab to uh, replicate a model that would be more predictive to test any products or ingredients. So initially we're growing like mini hearts, mini brains, and then mini skins. And eventually we started to get more traction from the cosmetic industry because the cosmetic industry needs more alternative methods to develop their products without testing animals. We should definitely not test anything in animals to develop a cosmetic. So that's how we started leaning to the skin area. And back in Brazil, we tried to make this company happen. It didn't work out. We didn't have all the resources that we needed. So we got an opportunity to come to the US in 2016, and we joined this accelerator that basically helps scientists like me and my co-founders to start their business and really navigate that challenging kind of landscape of finding market fit and so on. So here, interesting enough, we saw okay, there is a, an interest in testing products in the skins that we can grow in the lab, but what it is that we can offer that's unique that no one else is offering. So one idea that we had is that since we can grow skins in the lab, if we can measure the age of this skin that we're growing, we can then test the any product that's out there, and we can measure if a certain product is changing that age, if it's like reducing the age of the skin. That would justify a product to be an anti-aging product. And a lot of companies actually got interested in having us testing their products. So we start testing products, and interesting enough, most of the products that we thought we tested, they didn't change the age of the skin, or some of them actually accelerated the age of the skin. So causing like, yeah, the products that were claiming to be anti-aging were like accelerating aging. And we were surprised, but at the same time expected, because we knew that a lot of products they were not made of good ingredients, and some of them can cause like initial benefits that can make your skin look good in the short term, but can compromise your skin in the long term. So a lot of products full of ingredients that sometimes are like petroleum derived and may not be super pure. This can, give you a very nice like sensation, but with long term, all of those ingredients can be causing some toxicity to your skin. And on the other side, what we saw is that, wow, all of these products are claiming to be anti-aging, but they're not targeting aging itself. So what is aging, and how we can actually develop something that goes to the root cause? And was a great time to be in Silicon Valley, San Francisco, because we saw what was the inception of this longevity movement. We saw a lot of companies starting out to treat aging as their main value proposition with a new approach that now from the scientific world we now know better what's like causing aging. And basically, we didn't see any company using that novel approach to target skin aging, which is already a market that is eager for products that are effective. And this industry hasn't innovated like in decades. Like the best ingredient, or the like the gold standard for anti-aging, it's still like retinoic acid that was developed in 1950s to treat acne. And today we're like 2025, and there is not much innovation in terms of how you should address aging. So that's when we saw, okay, there is novel science here. We have made strides in terms of understanding what is driving aging. A lot of companies are targeting these novel mechanisms. Why we don't use this novel science to target skin aging and create something that's more effective, and that can not only make your skin look good, but also improve the health of your skin and improve the function of your skin for the long term. And what was interesting about this whole journey is that I got to study a lot about aging and to see how age is impacting not only our skin, but our whole life and health. And so now I have this privilege of being on top of the latest aging reversal studies, and also skin that's connecting skin that's it's basically an organ that has been forgotten. When we think about longevity, we don't think about treating our skin as we think about treating our whole body internally. Um, Long story short, that's a little bit how we got here. Um, but yeah, there's so much more that we can dive into how this actually works.
Oh, absolutely. I want to unpack a couple things that you said, though. So, just for clarification, you were testing products that are on the market right now that perhaps I have in my cabinet, or many people, our listeners, have in their on their beauty counter, right? That actually damage your skin and make it worse. So these were commercial products you were testing,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, and unfortunately, in some of them are really expensive, luxurious products, $300, and you think that you're, making a good investment. You are better off not putting that anything on your skin that putting those products. And why I can say that with a lot of certainty, and it's not because, I have this brand. We tested these products in the skins in the lab, and
Mhm.
it's visually clear when a product is not safe for your skin. We see that the skin cells start to degenerate, like we see inflammation really happening, and it changes the morphology in a way that is so clear that this is toxic because we have a clear control, like this skin didn't get the treatment, this got the treatment, this one is degenerating. And that's the effect of some ingredients of that product. And what it's unfortunate is that some products they have good actives. Sometimes they have this new plant extract, but they load the rest of the formula with ingredients that are not safe for you. So it's not only about the active, and it's one of the main calls that I make, like look at the whole formulation because the main active could be good and you could be attracted by that. But if the rest of the formula is not safe, you can be in causing harm to your skin.
And how soon did you see the damage in the lab to the skin?
So in the lab, we can see pretty clear in 24 hours, 5 days. Yeah, the genes associated with inflammation and irritation, collagen degradation really comes up fast. But obviously, for the consumer, sometimes they'll see more over time. The lab, it's a lot more microscopic, so it's easier for us to detect those changes. For the consumer, you're gonna probably see with the time like some irritation, some sensitization, and that's an accumulation of those toxic ingredients that are inside many products.
And that's what I was going to say is people probably don't even realize it because they're not able to see those
Yeah.
detectable changes in their own skin over time. And I can easily see a woman using one of those products and then 3 months, 6 months down the road, just going, oh, you know what? I'm just aging. Not even realizing, no, your skin isn't supposed to be doing that or looking that way. It's the product that you've been using that is actually super aging your skin.
Yeah.
That's just unbelievable. I think that that's a really important point to drive home to the consumer, because even if you are just because we're dropping $300 on a product, that does not mean that it's going to do what it's supposed to do for your skin. The other thing that you mentioned is longevity, and you're in Silicon Valley, and there's all these new longevity is the buzzword. That's the new word. And I am very open as well on the show saying, listen, I get where Dave Asprey's coming from, but I don't want to live to 110. I want to make it like 80, 90 and look like Sophia Loren, look like Raquel Welch, look like
Yeah.
Christy Brinkley. And that comes back to how you take care of your skin. Like, yeah, okay, there might be some Botox and fillers in there too, but you can't Botox and fill, by the way, ladies listening to this. This is another point. You cannot facelift, Botox, or fill your way to good skin. Your skin is your skin. I'm going to have you actually dive into that, Carolina, but it's your skin can't be changed outside of, well, I guess dermatological treatments like lasers and what you put on it. So that brings me to my question for you is what ages our skin? Why do we see that breakdown? Why is it that we can look in the mirror one day and go, what the hell's this? Why is this all creepy all of a sudden? Where's this wrinkle come from? That wasn't there yesterday. What is happening?
Yeah, so similar to what's happening inside our body, aging is nothing more than an accumulation of damage over time. And our body, when we are young, is really efficient in repairing damage, but the more damage we accumulate, our immune system also aids and gets deficient in repairing that damage. In the skin, we have this major driver of aging that is the all the environmental stressors that we are exposed, primarily UV damage. So one of the ways that we replicate the skin aging in the lab is exposing the skin to a UV stimulator. So we can clearly see the cells that are exposed to UV, they become super aged, and we use that model to test new molecules. So sun damage, it's accounted by 90% of the signs of skin aging that we perceive. And it's basically causing this accumulation of damage in our cells, in our DNA, and eventually what happens is that some of those cells that they become so damaged that they stop like functioning well. So in the skin, they stop secreting collagen, and uh, and these cells can be called like senescent cells or zombie cells. I don't know if you're familiar, if your audience is familiar, but these are basically old dysfunction cells that stop working well. And what's the problem with those cells? Those cells should die because they are not functional, they are not helping anymore, but some of them are able to linger around and they start secreting inflammation, and this inflammation that they produce induce the cells around to age faster, to become zombie as well. So just like a rotten apple in a bunch, like those zombie cells are spreading this inflammation and making other cells dysfunctional. So what is the way that we can prevent or reduce the accumulation of those zombie cells? That's the main research behind like OneSkin products. That's how we spent 5 years in the lab testing new peptides to find one that could decrease the accumulation of those zombie cells. Because there are many studies showing if you treat a tissue and you reduce the load of those zombie cells, what happens is that the healthy cells will replicate, they will go back to producing collagen again. They'll basically rejuvenate that tissue in a very targeted way because you are getting rid of like what's driving the aging, and you're making room for the healthy cells to thrive. So to us, this was very interesting because it makes sense. There is a clear rationale why this should work instead of other products that can help you look better. For example, retinols and acids. You are basically peeling off all the upper layers of your skin, the good and the bad. And you're going to grow a newer layer, which is going to look like fresher, younger, but you are not selectively targeting the aging cells that are the ones that are really causing the problem. So that's the main difference. And senescent cells accumulation is one of the main hallmarks of aging. There are many others that today there are 12 that we categorize in the scientific world. There is like stem cells exhaustion, there is dysregulation in your epigenetics, nutrient sensing. But what is interesting about senescent cells is that all of them end up leading to this central factor, because in the end, uh, the cell will get dysfunctional and they become senescent. And then if you target there, if you intervene there, we can have a better impact in promoting rejuvenation.
So that's really interesting of what you said. I'm kind of honing in on one thing that stuck out in my mind of using the retinols, and I even was thinking as you were speaking about the microdermablation or peels or even some of the lasers that take off that upper layer of skin. And you're right, you see that new skin shine through and it's all bright and pretty. But to your point, it's still not addressing the underlying causes of aging of our skin and the changes that are taking place below the surface. And I love that you mentioned peptides because I've also been saying this for a while. You see, I have heard for decades because of my obsession with skincare and anti-aging, retinol, retin-A. I can't use it. I use it and I just go, it's not even worth it. I go full red, I peel, even if I break it up and go every other day, all of that, I cannot tolerate it. And when you really start looking at the research on peptides, like you said, peptides are amazing in so many different areas, from mitochondrial health to longevity, weight loss, anti-inflammatory, everything, and especially in the area of skin. And peptides far outweigh in efficacy retinol and retin A, but that's all we focus on in skincare is like the Mac Daddy for anti-aging your skin, retinol. And you have to deal with the redness and the peeling and the flaking, and your skin doesn't even look good anyways when you're on it. So I love that you brought up peptides. What what peptide have you found? Well, first of all, for the listeners that maybe haven't dove into my other podcasts on peptides, what are they and how do they specifically benefit the skin?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So peptides, it's a sequence of a chain of amino acids. It's the building blocks of a protein. And so you take, collagen peptides. There are several building blocks that will build the collagen protein in our skin. And they can also function, so they can be structural, like in the skin, they provide this, function of uh, maintaining like the structure, the firmness, but they can also be signaling molecules. They can be messengers. So peptides can enter the cells and they can activate certain pathways that will uh, tell the cell that they should behave in a certain way. So the peptide that we discovered, and we spent 4 years just testing peptides to find this novel one. We tested 900 peptides. Uh, this peptide is called OS1, and it works by basically activating DNA repair pathways. So we treated senescent cells or cells that were highly aged with this peptide. And what we see is that it activates DNA repair pathways. So the cells don't get to that old state that they're very damaged and they cannot function anymore.
Mhm.
We also see that the peptides can suppress the inflammation that the senescent cells spread, which is one of the main detrimental factors of having senescent cells.
Mhm.
And with that, it activates pathways related to collagen, hyaluronic acid, and cell proliferation, similar to retinol, but without the side effects, without the irritation, without the inflammation. And what's most interesting about this peptide as well is that we could see that by doing all of this, in the end, what it does, it makes the skin biologically younger. So we measured in the lab when we treated skins with this peptide, we saw 2.5 year reduction in the skin biological age. And this is the first ingredient that's actually validated to reduce the age of the skin. And it's published in a peer-reviewed journal, but it's really exciting to show that understanding what is driving aging, and if you have a very clear pathway to intervene in that process, you can bring your skin to a younger, more functional state that also happens to look younger.
That is incredible. Okay, so usually when we're talking about peptides, we're talking about the ones that you inject. But
Mm-hmm.
I have not yet heard of OS1 until I met you and really dove into this research. So OS1 is, or I'm sorry, yeah, OS01,
One.
OS1 is is a topical peptide as
Yes.
opposed to you do not want to inject this peptide. It does work topically and penetrates that skin barrier.
Yeah, it does. And that was one of the first questions that we made ourselves, because if it doesn't get to the derms, it's not gonna deliver the effects that we want. So we do test this in the lab and we make sure that the peptide has like 10 amino acids, so it's fairly small. And we developed a formulation that helps with the delivery system. So we treat the skins and we can detect the peptide in the dermal layer through mass spectrometry, and we make sure that the amount that gets into the dermal layer is sufficient to promote the benefits that we expect from the peptide. So I know that there is a lot of products in the market that contain peptide. If all of those peptides work, because if they get into the skin, Most brands may probably don't test that. We make sure that the one that we discover that we know that's important to be delivered, it's getting to the dermal layer, and therefore it's delivering the benefits.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you is when you were researching those other products that age the skin more quickly, that would be my other question is it even getting to that layer, like you mentioned, the dermal layer, where that's where the change takes place? That's where the battle happens with the zombie cells, so to speak. So I'm asking this, but I'm also assuming it that many products they they're just heavy cream bases that won't even penetrate. I mean, there's been some products I've used that I'm like, this is so thick. How is it even penetrating my skin to do what it's supposed to do? Or is it just kind of sitting on the top of it? And then I feel like, oh, my skin is smooth because there's basically a layer of grease sitting on top.
Yeah, so and the liver system is a very kind of complex, and there is a reason why our skin, should be a barrier, because it's the main function of the skin is really to protect our internal body against environmental stresses, pathogens. So you want to be selective of what you allow to enter into your skin. Obviously, in these formulations that are out there, there are different like chemicals and ingredients. Some are like bigger molecular weights, some are smaller that can penetrate. So it's harder for me to measure everything that's penetrating for us. At least the one that we needed to guarantee that we want to make sure this delivered, we measured. But I think in the end, a lot of products they can most like sit on top of your skin if you're not measuring if the main ingredient is crossing through that epidermal layer.
Okay. No, thank you for that. So when you were looking at OS1 and its effect on the skin and its effect on targeting zombie cells, what sets this peptide apart from the other peptides? Is it the fact that it can pass through that barrier? Is it, and to your point too, I want to mention so I don't forget, you're right, the skin is our largest organ. It actually amazes me that we don't pay more attention to it or take more care of it because it is protecting our entire body against free radical damage and, like you said, the environment, toxins, all the chemicals that we're coming in contact with, even when we walk outside. It is our skin that protects us first. So we really should be paying attention to it. But going back to my question, what is it about that OS01 that you were like, oh my goodness, this is the Mac Daddy peptide that people need for their skin?
Yeah, I think first and foremost is this effect on senescent cells. So the other peptides that are out there, they don't have this targeted effect on the senescent cells. They may help, increasing collagen or helping with like the barrier of the skin, but I think they're not targeting the root cause as we are. The other factors is we know that our peptide is stable at the different temperatures, pHs, longer periods, and peptides in general are very like unstable molecule. So when you are compared to other peptides, you would need to understand the stability of these other molecules, if they are able to penetrate, if they don't cause any toxicity or any irritation. So I think the difference of ours is that we understand how it works. We understand that it's safe at the different concentrations, that it's stable, and it gets into the skin. So these four boxes that we checked, they are very important to make sure that we can claim the benefits that we're claiming.
Well, I could honestly say that I do see a difference in my skin. And I have some specific questions for you in terms of use, but it just as I've been using it, wash my face. I might put on a toner, but not really. Sometimes I'll just use a mineral spray. And then I put on my OneSkin. And it's so simple because it's it's just OneSkin and then the eye cream. there's not, okay, you got to put on a serum first, and then you put on this thing after, and then you put a mask on over that. It's not like a 10-step process that can really wear a woman out. And I know you know what I mean. So the beauty of OneSkin is that it's easy, but the other beauty is that I actually see a difference in my skin. My question would be for you in use. At what age, if I could rewind the clock and start using this even earlier than the age of 50 that I am now, at what age do you recommend women really start taking care of their skin? And is there a point of no return? Is there a point where our skin has become so damaged that we can't reverse those signs of aging, or can we do something at any age?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the peptide in our products, they have both this preventative effect that it's helping your skin to stay healthier, younger for longer. It's always easier to continue maintaining that efficient machinery that we have working than fix the machinery when it's already, broken in some ways. So you can start as early as like in your 20s, 25 and over because the product is so gentle. It's not going to cause any damage to your skin.
Mhm.
So it can be used at any age. And it's a great preventative treatment. It's way better than baby Botox. If you don't have any wrinkles, you don't need the Botox.
Right.
So make sure that you add something that is going to stimulate your skin cells to continue working well for you, right? You don't want to and I'm not against Botox when you actually have wrinkles, but I think when you don't have wrinkles, there are other ways that you can maintain your skin healthy, functional, and it's by activating your cells, maintaining them like working well for you. We have customers, from 20s to 80 years old, that 90 years old that are still seeing results. So there is no age that you cannot like treat or reverse. And we have seen amazing results even at the later stages of life. So there is always something that can be improved. Obviously, the later that you start, it will take more time, and you won't necessarily bring you back to your 20s, but it will improve the condition of your skin. It will improve the resilience of your skin, which when you are in these older states of life, it's so important. We know how the skin gets fragile. It starts like to break out, and that compromise your quality of life in different ways than not only your appearance, right? Like some people needs like to wear band-aids because their skin, there is so fragile.
Mhm.
So the good news is that that's never too late, and it's safe and gentle, so anyone can start at any time. And as you said, it's simple. It's basically one main product, morning and night. And we also talking about the importance of your skin as an organ. We do have a body lotion that you should take care of the rest of your body, your skin as well, not only your face. And most of us neglect the skin of our body. We treat up to the décolletage, but hands, but only when you're experiencing like menopause or the thinning, the crepiness, that you really start to pay attention on the rest of your body. And we should change this mindset, right? We should take care of our skin head to toe early on, so we maintain all of it like working well, functioning strong throughout our lives.
And then how long? Well, I guess it would depend on what age you are, but approximately how long does it take for someone to see results and changes in their skin?
Yeah, so I'll share what we have from our clinical studies, which we usually recruit participants around 45 to 60 years old. And the data shows improvement after 6 weeks, significant improvements, but gets better after 12 weeks. So we usually recommend everyone using the product at least for 12 weeks, twice a day. And then the improvements that you should see is an overall improvement on your tone, firmness, elasticity, hydration. The barrier function of the skin gets stronger, and fine lines and wrinkles, and more towards like the 12 weeks. Some people see earlier, but usually changing the makeup of the skin will take a little longer. So the fine lines and wrinkles, we say around the 3 months.
And I'm so happy you mentioned that because I think so many people, and we get it with our supplement line too. Oh my gosh, I've used this for 2 weeks and I don't notice a difference. And it's like, wait a minute. What can you use across? You can't even use medication for 2 weeks and notice
Yes.
a difference. So I'm glad you mentioned that because you really have to give a product, whatever product, whether you're putting it in your body or on your body, you have to give it a decent amount of time for it to work and actually start to see those changes. Now, in addition to doing that, taking care of your skin and putting the right products on, it has to be paired up with lifestyle habits, nutritional support. So, what do you also recommend? And really, not doing the lifestyle and the nutrition support can derail your effects of anything that you're using. So, Carolina, in your experience, what do you see are the most important parts of our lifestyle and our eating habits and our sleeping and working out and all the different things
Mhm.
that tie into better skincare, better skin
Yeah.
health?
Yeah, you were on point. Obviously, our lifestyle has a huge influence, and I'll mention a few as I said earlier, like the environmental, stressors are one of the main uh, drivers of aging. So sun exposure and pollution, you needed to be aware of that and protect yourself against that. I would, and I'm a fan of like, natural sunlight in the morning. I do that, bare face. And then if I'm gonna stay extended periods in the sun, like I'll never let myself like sunburn, because
Yeah.
sunburn is definitely the side that you are crossing the line. But another one is sleep. We know how much sleep impacts the quality of our skin. It's the time that you recover, your cells really regenerate, repair the damage. Exercising obviously has an incredible impact on the skin. Diet, a diet, full in processed food or sugar. We know that sugar can lead to glycation, which basically causes cross-linking the collagen. So the proteins with the glycation will make your skin more sagging. That's something that there is a clear correlation with skin aging is the sugar intake.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I think obviously smoking,
Ah,
unfortunately, uh, it's crazy to me, but vaping, it's kind of in vogue again. And for the younger people that think this is cool, if they're, you also think that's cool to look younger, like you should not vape, like you should definitely stay away. And I mean, alcohol consumption, we know that
mhm.
has a clear impact in your skin. I would say the other thing is like less is more. We were talking about, too many products, a very, complex skincare routine. You needed to be careful with what you're putting on your skin. And if you're putting too many products, you just needed to analyze all of them to make sure that you're not like overreacting, you're not causing too much of this irritation, sensitization. So I would be aware of that, and do a little bit of like skin detox, like maybe reduce for a while.
Mhm.
Um, don't use makeup for a while. Let your skin to breathe and to reset. I think that these are some important things that we should be aware. To me, what really helped me improve the quality of my skin, one was like reducing makeup. The other one was simplifying. Like before, I was using 10 different products and I was thinking that was the best thing. And then my skin was like going crazy. And now, just OneSkin. From time to time, I use some exfoliant or a little bit of retinol, but I barely use retinol nowadays. And make sure that I apply that SPF on a daily basis, and it's very simple. It shouldn't be complicated.
Well, and I got to tell you, I mean, you are beautiful. Your skin is beautiful. If can I ask your age? And then if you don't really want to tell me it, I can cut this part out.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm 39.
Okay. All right. So this woman, you have to go to YouTube and watch this video and look at her. She looks like she's in her 20s. That's why I had to ask. I'm like, okay, whatever she's doing, right, is on point. Now, Carolina, what about protein intake? How important is that? I try to tell my ladies protein and water. Those are my two questions. Women are notorious for not drinking enough water, and they'll say that they do. I had a patient today. She's like, well, I'm drinking 2 liters or 1 or 2 liters of water. I'm like, that's not enough. So they don't drink enough water and they don't eat enough protein. How important is that for our skin?
Yeah, I'm guilty of the water too. Like I want to drink more, and I needed to remind myself. But interesting enough, there are not many studies showing water intake with the skin quality. But
Mhm,
we know that we know that hydration is important for your overall health. So I think it's probably because it's really hard to measure in association with like I don't know how they would design the study, but I've researched and didn't find many studies. Protein, we know that similar. It's really important for our whole health, and mainly as we age, we know that we tend to lose like lean mass, and it's really, really important to keep that for our health. I think in the skin, what's more common maybe it's like supplementing with collagen
mhm,
that again, there is some evidence that the collagen could help with your skin.
mhm,
We know that there is no guarantee that the collagen that you're intaking is going to be used, inside your body to your skin. It may be used to your joints, to your ligaments. So there is a lot other tissues in our body that are made of collagen, but it is a good supplement. It's, has antioxidant properties. So there is no con of like adding collagen supplementation. But I would say if you have like a good protein intake that you may or may not need, you don't necessarily need collagen. But I would say hydration is important, no, for your health. There are not many studies correlated with the skin, but again, we know when we are dehydrated, we look terrible. So I
It's
don't think we need,
true. Yeah.
yeah, we don't need the studies to validate that. But yeah, protein 100%.
Okay, thank you. And yet, to the collagen point, I agree with you. I think it comes down to the type and the quality too, because there are some collagens that are just, I mean, they even taste bad, and collagen shouldn't have a taste, right? It should be pure. And there are certain bioactive collagen peptides out there that specifically are tied to, like we see research tied to skin improvement, wrinkles, all of that. But I think it just like skincare, it comes down to the quality. Like who is making it? Have they done the research? Have they added a bunch of other garbage to it, like different skincare lines? So yeah, I love that you touched on that. All right, this next question is partially for me, but the listeners, I bet, have this in their heads too. So why do we need to use an eye cream versus the cream for our face? So y'all came out with an eye cream, you sent it to me, I love it. And I have always used an eye cream and used the face cream separately, but I've
Yeah.
always wondered, like, why do we have to do that? So it'd be wonderful to hear your explanation.
Yeah, and honestly, you are not alone. A lot of people ask the same question. So, what was really interesting that we found when we were studying the difference of the skin around our face and eye,
Mhm.
we found that the skin just under or above our eyes is 20 to 30 years older than the skin around our cheeks and temple. So we knew that it ages faster, but we
Yeah.
didn't know how much, and this was really shocking. And so we saw, wow, and there is a reason. The skin is 5 times thinner, and it's moving, so it accumulates more damage. It accumulates more of those zombie senescent cells.
Hmm.
So we saw, okay, we needed to develop something that is more potent than the product for the face, but also that's very gentle because the skin is super sensitive, it's delicate. So what we did, we actually got eyelid skins that we partner with clinics that were doing blepharoplastic surgeries.
Yeah.
So we cultured that very thin skin, and then we developed this completely novel formulation that was more potent in the peptide concentration. We had a higher concentration of the peptide, and we had several other actives that would help with like the firmness, the elasticity, the dark circles. And when we evaluated the data in terms of collagen production, was more than double the effect that we had with the face product. And the genes associated with aging, we also saw a more significant decrease than we saw with the face product. And from our clinical studies, the measurements in hydration, elasticity, and barrier was way higher than what we have seen before. So in terms of potency, this is the most potent formula that we have. And again, if you don't have like wrinkles or crow's feet yet, you may not need this product. You can use the face around your eyes and it's completely safe. But if you already want to, treat or prevent the signs of aging around your eyes, that's a more specific formulation developed for that type of skin.
Oh, I am so happy you explained that to me because sometimes I don't know about my audience, but when I hear an explanation, that motivates me more to use it on the regular as opposed to, you're holding this bottle and you're like,
Yeah,
well, why? Right. Now that you just explained that that bottle of eye cream that I have is more potent, has more stuff in it, more peptide, produce, and I would totally agree with you. I would say my eyes are 10, 20 years older than the rest of my face. It's craziness.
it is crazy.
So I mean, it really is crazy. So it makes sense that we would need a higher concentration and just more to penetrate that thin skin area. So see, now I'm motivated. Now I'm going to use that eye cream all the time. I'm not going to skip it. Sometimes I skip it. I'm not going to skip it now. So
And you
thank
know
you
what?
for
Another
explaining it.
tip that I do sometimes I use on my neck as well because if it's
Yes. Yeah. Well, okay. So your eyes and your neck age
yeah,
faster than the rest of your face. That is 100% true.
yeah.
100% true. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I am so excited that we had a chance to talk about the skin and OneSkin and your amazing research and amazing findings. Oh my goodness. Like I would just love all y'all listening to this, you ladies or gentlemen too. We know guys are now taking care of their skin. They're getting a little bit more metro. They care about aging. So, ladies and gentlemen out there, you just have to try the OneSkin. You have to. You got to get the eye cream. You got to get the face cream. Throw in some body cream if that's your jam too. But you really do, because on top of that, you are also offering my community 15% off your first purchase, which is huge. So everyone's going to go to oneskin.co /Dr. Amie. Use the code Dr. Amie for that 15%. So thank you so much for gifting that to my audience, because that's going to motivate them. I want people to try it. I want to hear the results. I want to see if everybody's getting the same results as I am as well. And now that we have the explanation, I think understanding a product and understanding the love and research that goes behind a product as well, and hearing from the scientist, hearing from the owner is super helpful. So I thank you tremendously for coming on and explaining everything. And last question is, what would you like to leave the audience with when it comes to aging in our skin? Any last tips?
Uh, well, first of all, thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm always so honored to be able to share a little bit of the science that our team is developing, and we hope that we are bringing the best that we can to you and to our community. I think in terms of skin and aging, um, I would say it's always like hard to give one tip, but
You can get more than one if you have them. So
well, I think we talked about a lot about it, but I think again, being mindful of listening to your skin with the treatments that you are doing. I think a lot of times we went too far in causing too much stress to reach like a flawless and perfect skin. I think we all should aim like for the healthiest skin that we can. And so just listen to your skin and make sure that you are not overwhelming it. Uh, Combined with like that full approach of a healthy lifestyle
Mhm.
and more peace of mind for everyone, less stress will help everyone. um but yeah, I think just also trying to make improvements one day at a time, and don't be too hard on yourself as well.
And I love that. I'm going to circle back to that one last time before I let you go about overdoing it with your skin. I am guilty. I didn't expand on that after you said that today, but I am absolutely guilty at layering too many products, bouncing from product to product, having too much on my counter. It's funny when my mom was alive, there would be times where there was one time in particular that I actually questioned why do I try so many products? Man, I will get sucked in to any promise there is. And then I walked in her bathroom and I'm like, oh, this is inherited. So, ladies, I know I'm not alone. My mom was not alone. You are not alone. If you have way too many skincare products, and what Carolina just gave us, Carolina, she has a beautiful name that I can't pronounce. Carolina, what she just told us is it's like a weight has been lifted. You don't need all of those products. You don't need to layer 10 products to get an effective result. And you might actually be doing more harm layering all those products. So simplify, simplify, simplify your routine and let one product, let OneSkin, let one product work for you and use that. And I know it's going to seem like, oh, this is too simple. It's too simple. It's too good to be true, but you have to try it. Like she said, give your skin a detox, try one product and see where it takes you.
Yeah, as you said, and consistency is the key. Like you gotta uh, wait for the results to come, and yeah, and even if it's not one skin, just go out there to the brands that you like and ask for the research, ask for the clinical data. If
Mhm.
you believe that they have the research to support, go for it. But it's better to try one product at a time than try to um, yeah, test everything at once. So,
And complicate it. Yeah. Because you're just going to confuse yourself and then you're going to confuse your skin.
yes, yeah.
So there we go.
Run an experiment well run.
Absolutely. So we will put everything in the show notes, all the links, the discount codes, everything. But thank you so, so much for everything, for all of your knowledge, for all of your research, for the time that you spent actually growing skin and getting skin and testing the skin and see. I mean, it's your research that gives us the knowledge and then the guidance to truly anti-age our skin. So I love it. And I learned a lot today. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, Dr. Amy. That was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Take care.